carriageway on the right is under construction, so all of this is closed for circulation. There will be barriers, all of it will be closed. There will be an opening through the vehicles, whichever type they are, cars, trucks, buses, anyone, will get redirected into the contractor lane. So this lane over here, that because of the situation is moving opposite direction to the normal use. And in order to differentiate that contraflow lane from the regular direction in that road, in that carriageway, we have those cones. So everyone knows that going across the cones is absolutely prohibited. Keep insisting, if it's because of roadworks, no one can continue in the right carriageway. It's all closed for circulation. So either we use the contraflow lane or we get stuck there weeks, months, maybe, depending on the road work, yeah, depending on how long it takes. That is the first case scenario. But there's a second one. Before a long weekend, before some holidays that traffic department is expecting a lot of traffic flow, they will also open up this contraflow lane. But in that case, the only ones allowed to use it will be private cars, no trailers, and motorcycles with or without sidecars, but no trailers either. So if it's because of roadworks, everyone, to improve the traffic flow, private cars alone, motorcycles with or without sidecar, but that's it. No trailers. Limitations. If there is a contraflow lane, this is the contraflow lane over here, and one single regular lane, the limitations will apply to both lanes. The minimum speed will be 60, maximum one will be 80, and in both lanes, we must drive with the low beams on, day and night. But if there is a contraflow lane, like now, there is a contraflow lane over here, and then two regular lanes, 1 and 2. The ones in the contraflow lane, full limitation. Minimum 60, maximum 80 kilometers per hour when it comes to the speed. Low beams on, all day and night, definitely. So all of the limitations. But then, in the regular direction, the ones adjacent to the contraflow lane, so the ones in lane 2 in our direction, we use low beams. We need to make ourselves more visible. It's not common to drive in a motorway or in a dual carriageway and having oncoming traffic in our same carriageway. So lights on. But the speed limit will be the regular one in the road, so according to the vehicle that we drive. And if we are in lane 1, we don't need to use any specific lights apart from the ones needed in case of reduced visibility. And the speed limit, again, will be the regular one on the road. Are we okay with the contraflow?
Yeah, but hold a minute. Yes. Let's write it all down.
Okay.
And the second one?
So the 60 is the minimum speed. Okay.
And the 80, the maximum. Because the blue circle with the white number is the minimum speed limit, the sign. Yeah, it's the same. And the other one is the sign for the maximum speed limit.
Thank you.
Rachel,
Yeah, the lane where you had the 3 lanes on the right, there, the one you have labeled 2 with your cursor, that one doesn't have to slow down, or it does?
No, it doesn't. This one doesn't. Yeah, because imagine, this is a motorway, right? It's normally a motorway or a dual carriageway. The maximum speed limit for private cars here is 120. And the maximum speed limit for trucks will be 90. So all of us will be occupying the right-hand lane. So imagine we got a truck here moving 90 kilometers per hour, and we are down there driving a private car 120. We're going to use this second lane when we overtake, yeah, the truck ahead. So that's why we don't have the speed limit in that case, because otherwise the second lane will be empty. Yeah, we couldn't use it. Yeah, everyone there is going to be traveling faster than 80 kilometers per hour. So when we have more than one lane, the speed limit is the regular one on the road, so we can carry out overtakings, but we do need to use the lights when we are the ones closest to the contraflow lane. And if there is just one single lane in the regular direction, like the previous example, then we need to abide by both limitations, the speed one plus having the low beam zone. All right. Third one of the special lanes is an additional lane. This one happens in a road that has one single carriageway that moves in two directions. So normally we have one lane over here that moves in one direction, and then we have another lane over there. This is the second lane that moves opposite direction. We wouldn't have the cones, just one lane per direction and the half shoulders. Turns out there is plenty of traffic flow expectations over the weekends. For example, it's normally long weekends or there is a country fair or something like this. In that case, traffic authorities will create an extra lane, that is the additional lane, by using the half shoulders. So what we're going to do is occupying partially the carriageway and partially the half shoulder, the same for the opposite direction, and like that we get a new lane, we got that space in the center, that is the new lane, that is the additional one. Could be moving in one direction or the opposite direction depending on the cones. Yeah, in this case, the cones are the ones limiting the directions, so this additional lane is moving in that direction alongside with the red car. It could be the opposite. Yeah, it could have been that the cones are located here, and then the blue car, the additional lane, will be moving opposite direction. In any case, all of the vehicles here are traveling really close to one another. Yeah, there's not that much space in between us. So it's an obligation that all of us have the low beams on, and that all of us are traveling between 60 kilometers per hour as a minimum and a maximum 80 kilometers per hour. This one applies to everyone on the platform, everyone on the road. Also, half shoulder users, they don't reach 60 kilometers per hour. Yeah, cyclists, mopeds, animal-drawn vehicles, pedestrians walking, we don't reach 60 kilometers per hour. So we are not allowed to occupy the road while the additional lane exists. And the last one is an H question. Oh no. Right. The HOV lane will be the last one. HOV stands for high occupancy vehicle. So it's for passengers transportation, maximum 3.5 tons. It's very similar to a carpooling lane, really. When it comes to a B-class license, passengers transportation that we are allowed to drive could be a motorcycle, as an exception, later than 3 years experience, over 3 years experience. We could drive private cars, passengers transportation as well, or we could be driving a dual-purpose vehicle, which is for passengers as well, together with loads. The thing is, whenever we want to use an HOV lane, we need a minimum of 2 occupants as a general rule. And this time I must say, more exceptions than general rules happening. So, let's go through all the exceptions. Driver alone, no need for passengers, permitted. If we are driving a motorcycle, that motorcycle rider is allowed with or without passengers. Buses will be allowed in the HOV lane. Priority services in an emergency, police, firefighters, fire trucks, ambulance, yeah, all of those, when there is an emergency contacted, definitely allowed, even though it's the driver alone. Special vehicles repairing parts of the road needing access to that HOV lane. If they are repairing this barrier over here, they need access. So even though it's the driver alone, that special vehicle will be permitted. Taxi drivers on duty, even though it's a taxi driver alone, no more occupants, still permitted in the HOV lane. And lastly, car sharing companies. These vehicles that we rent by the minute or it's probably by the minute actually, and car-to-go services. In that case, we are out in the HOV lane even though we are driving the car alone. We don't have any passengers. If it comes to regular private cars or regular dual-purpose vehicles, general rule is having a passenger, so driver plus one, in order to use the HOV lane. But still, we got two exceptions again. It's a zero emission car, zero emission mixed adaptable. We don't need a passenger. Driver alone suffices. Or if the driver is a handicapped driver with a certification, in which case, again, the driver will be permitted on his or her own in the HOV lane. If it's not a zero emission engine, if we are not handicapped drivers, then in the private car, in the mixed adaptable, we're going to need as a minimum two people, the driver plus a passenger. No goods transportation. So, could we...
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay.
Yep, no, I have a question about the zero emissions. So if like a car is half gas, half electric, could you take it?
Could be. There are some of them, the ones that are flat. No, eco, no. Has to be zero. There are some hybrid that are flat that qualify for a zero sticker. So if that's the case, yes. If it's mild hybrid, like the ones that have the eco sticker, the eco, ECO, those ones are not allowed to begin with.
Okay.
And well, they are allowed if they have a passenger. I mean, the driver alone wouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, I'm saying like that.
And then pulling trailers. Imagine that you got 5 people in the car, but you're pulling a trailer. Would you be allowed in the HOV lane?
No.
Agreed. Regular speed limit, regular light usage. Exception now. Say that you got that sign showing up on the circumstantial message panel before entering the lane, saying C. You could say eco as well. In that case, could a private car with just the driver, if it has a C sticker, go into that HOV lane?
No?
Yeah,
With the sign showing up?
yeah.
Yes. If it's up on the sign, that sticker, if it's in a private car or mixed adaptable, that driver is allowed. Alone.
Really?
Why?
Because the sign prevails over the general rule. Yeah, the sign is telling you those vehicles are allowed, and the sign prevails, over the normal rules. The same happens with the speed limits, the happens with the rest of the general rules. If there's a sign telling you something is permitted or prohibited, that sign has to be obeyed.
So trailers and trucks are not allowed in the HOV lane?
Nope. Has to be passengers transportation, and the closest that we got to having loads is with the special vehicles when they are conducting roadworks there. They will have some loads with them just to repair, but that's it. So may you remind me the 3 lanes where we must use low beams both day and night?
Reversible, additional, and contraflow.
Amazing. And the ones where you need the 60 to 80 kilometers per hour limits, which ones? There's 2.
Additional and contraflow.
The contraflow lane and the additional one.
Great. There you go. So the last thing to discuss then is vehicles permitted in motorways and dual carriageways. Do you remember the minimum speed limit there?
Yeah.
70?
60.
Oh, okay.
So could you enter with a moped?
No.
No. Yes.
No, because the moped will go maximum how fast?
45.
45. This is for
45.
45.
Indeed. So it doesn't reach 60. Mopeds don't go in motorways nor dual carriageways. What about low mobility people vehicles? Are they allowed? In motorways and dual carriageways, I mean?
Yes.
Because
Low mobility, they are very similar to four-wheel mopeds. So their maximum speed by construction is 45, same as mopeds. Yeah, so that's why they are not allowed. What about PMVs? Could you enter with a personal mobility vehicle into a motorway or a
No.
pedestrians? Could we go for a walk in a motorway or a dual carriageway?
No.
No, not allowed. And what about cyclists? Could we go for a ride in a bicycle in a motorway or a dual carriageway?
No.
There's an exception.
Yes,
There's an exit.
14 years old,
Yeah.
plus 1 day or something, yeah.
Correct. In which one? Autovía or autopista?
Autovía?
Autovía. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So as an exception, a cyclist is allowed while occupying the hard shoulder on the right of an autovía or a dual carriageway, provided that it's older than 14. Yeah, 14 years and a day to be allowed. In motorways, not allowed ever. But in autovías, in dual carriageways, yeah, we got an exception. And lastly, any vehicle, even though doesn't reach 60 kilometers per hour, any vehicle with a specific authorization issued by traffic authorities will be allowed in a motorway or dual carriageway. An example of this would be special transportations. You see these vehicles that are carrying a really large cargo. I'm talking really exceeding masses and dimensions. So over 3 meters wide, longer than 20. Huge vehicles I'm talking about. They normally move 40 kilometers per hour because of the cargo they are carrying. So they got a very limited speed. And whenever they need access to a motorway or a dual carriageway, they need to ask for an authorization. Without it, they wouldn't be allowed. With the authorization, well, by all means, whatever the authorization says, it goes. And that's it. Done with chapter 9. Everyone, all clear about chapter 9?
I have a small question, sorry. The last slide regarding the HOV lane.
Yeah.
How do we, is there any way we identify the lane or?
You will see in your, well, actually there are only 2 of them in the whole of Spain to begin with.
Okay.
One of them is in A6 in Madrid, and the other one is in Barcelona.
Okay.
And before you reach it, you will see these circumstantial message panels on your carriageway saying VAU. Carril VAU in Spanish is HOV lane. And if you get a passenger with you, then don't worry, then you can access the HOV lane. Otherwise, pay attention to the environmental badge to see whether you're allowed alone or if you get a zero emission and so on.
Okay, thank you.
And what did you say that's not allowed on the HOV lanes? It's trailers and what else?
And goods transportation vehicles like vans, trucks. Yeah, if it's goods transportation, HOV lanes.
And cabs are okay, taxis are okay with a passenger.
Taxis, no. The taxi driver is one of the exceptions where taxi drivers on duty are allowed to enter. Just them. No need for the minimum occupancy. But yeah, they are allowed with or without extra.
Yeah, another question on the contraflow lane and on additional lanes. Does everyone has to use dipped beams?
In the additional lane, yes, everybody in the road has to use dipped beams indeed. But in the contraflow lane, it depends on how many lanes you have. Like if there's only one and one, definitely both of them. Like here, you see there is a contraflow lane plus the one, both of them low beams. But if you have more than one lane left on your direction, then the only ones using the low beams, contraflow, plus the adjacent one.
Okay.
Any more questions about this topic before we talk about speed limits? Great. So in that case, speed limits it is. Last chapter for today, chapter 10 actually. Let's start by mentioning some definitions, right? The first one of them is the appropriate speed, the one that we adapt, each one of us, to the ongoing circumstances. Depending if we are tired, if we are drowsy, if we are not feeling well, we will slow down. If the vehicle is not broken down, but imagine that you know the tires are almost worn out, then we should drive slower than normal just to adapt to the situation. Or if the road or the environment of the road is kind of slippery, there is a bad weather condition, there is reduced visibility, we need to adapt the speed to whichever circumstances are going on at that particular moment. And this is something that we do subjectively, so what we consider safe. The second one is the design speed. This one is based on the road layout, so the number of bends, number of curves, how wide the road is, and also based on the traffic flow expectations. But all of that during the day and good visibility, so in favorable conditions. The design speed is something completely objective. When the engineers were designing the road, they thought of the maximum possible speed safe in a road when everything was perfect. While when we talk about appropriate speed, we need to adjust that because there is something bad kind of happening. So either we are tired, that is not good, either the road is slippery, that is not good, or we got some like not breakdowns, but well, you know, the vehicle is not at 100% of its capacity. So again, that is not good either. Yeah, so appropriate speed when something goes south, let's say, design speed, favorable conditions is your key word, words in plural. Yeah, if you had to differentiate in an exam question, design speed, it needs to say favorable conditions. If there's something sort of bad, then it's appropriate. Minimum speed limits, we have them both as generic ones, the ones that we need to memorize depending on the road and the vehicle that we are driving. And also we have the sign. The sign for the speed limit, when it's minimum, it would be a blue circle. Sometimes the signs are mere reminders of the generic ones. Some of the times there are specific limits. So anytime that we need to choose, by all means, follow the sign. It's more specific and it prevails over the general rules. Abnormally slow speed happens when we drive below the minimum speed of the road. Not at the minimum. At the minimum we are kind of okay, legally speaking. Abnormally slow, so when traveling below, we need to justify why this is happening. Lack of visibility, some emergency situation, and so on. The following one is the maximum speed limit, that again, we have it as a generic one, the one that we're going to discuss now in a few seconds, or the maximum speed limit sign. That could be a reminder or a specific limit. And lastly, an excess of speed happening when we drive above the maximum speed limit. One more definition before we move on will be the tunnel vision. Tunnel vision, tunnel effect. That happens, in this case, we are talking about speed. That happens because the faster we move, the more peripheral vision we lose. So tunnel vision happens when we only see clearly the center of the road ahead of us. We don't need to remember this chart. This is just to explain it, but we don't need to memorize the degrees and the speed limit. We just need to know that the tunnel vision happens because of the speed limit. So the faster we move, more peripheral vision we lose. At 130 kilometers per hour, which is not allowed in Spain, by the way, the field of vision is quite narrow, 30 degrees. At 40 kilometers per hour, the field of vision is 100 degrees, so much wider. When would you say that this tunnel vision could be more dangerous? I got three options for you. When driving in a motorway, when approaching an intersection, or when overtaking.
Overtaking?
When overtaking, you already know there's something parallel there because it was in front of us, and now we are moving lanes to pass it. So it's dangerous.
Wait, can you say the question one more time?
When is the most dangerous situation when it comes to tunnel vision. Overtaking, that we have ruled it out just now, when in a motorway or when approaching an intersection.
When approaching an intersection.
Totally agreed. Yeah, we need to know if there is any vehicles approaching from the transversal roads, yeah, from the right, from the left. So it's key, it's vital to know if we got those vehicles approaching or not. So that's why when we're approaching an intersection and we don't have them right of way, slowing down is a must. Yeah, because we need to see if there are vehicles coming or not, and then stopping or not according to the situation. Okay, so now let's talk about when to slow down and even stopping if necessary. We're not talking about priorities, we are talking about avoiding accidents, possibilities. We are driving a car and there is a pedestrian nearby. Not necessarily at a pedestrian crossing, just near, close to the road. Wouldn't you slow down when approaching that pedestrian just in case?
Yes.
And stopping if that poor pedestrian happens to invade the road. The same will apply if it's an animal. Or the same will apply if we have a cyclist ahead. We need to slow down because maybe the cyclist could fall. We could pass them, yes, but if it is not safe to overtake them, then we need to keep our distance. If the cyclist falls for any reason whatsoever, we need enough space to stop without causing an accident. Buildings with immediate access. For example, Toledo, if you go to Santa, you go into streets like this. They're so narrow that there's no space for sidewalk. So anyone getting out of the building, out of the house, lands on the carriageway itself. So while driving here, please slow down. And then if someone shows up out of nowhere, well, out of the house really, stopping to prevent the accident. If we get a bus stationary at a bus stop, or at a school bus stationary at a school, like dropping kids there, when approaching them, slowing down 100%, stopping only if necessary to avoid an accident. That means, are we allowed to hold buses in Spain?
No. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Spain, yes. Very carefully, okay, very carefully. If there is any dangers, stop. No need to complete the overtaking, but it's permitted. Yeah, in Spain, we don't have that stop sign coming off the side of the bus. Yeah, so it is permitted, although depending on the situation, if it is safe, go ahead. If it is not safe, then we don't overtake. Approaching a stationary vehicle outside of the city. That is not normal. If there is a car, there is a truck, there is any vehicle whatsoever, stationary in a motorway, in a dual carriageway, in an automobile road, occupying the conventional road, for example, that is not common, that is not normal. We are not allowed to stop and we are not allowed to park there. So if the vehicle is there, it's probably because of an emergency. Could be a breakdown, could be an accident. So when approaching them, we need to slow down and even stop it if we need to provide assistance. But this is why we are specifying interurban roads, because inside of the city, we do have vehicles stopped and parked on both sides of the road, which is absolutely permitted. And if we would slow down and stop only in the event of a real emergency, not any single time or every single time a vehicle is parked on the side of the road. Outside of the city, anytime when approaching them, yes, because we are not allowed to stop and we are not allowed to park, but inside of the city only when the situation requires it. If it's a narrow section of road, if it's a slippery road, if there is low visibility, if we get dazzled, sure, we slow down and even stopping if it is not safe to continue. If we're approaching an intersection where we do not have priority, a railway, a roundabout, we need to approach them slowly and then stopping or not, depending on the situation. If it's a railway, we have barriers and they are completely up and steady, there's no trains coming, we don't need to stop. If we reach the roundabout and there is no one inside of the roundabout or they are in the back of the end, then we could enter the roundabout without stopping. But slowing down for sure, because we need to determine whether we need to stop or not. And then the same reason as we were talking about the stationary vehicles, if there is a tow truck assisting a broken down vehicle when approaching them, we need to slow down. Not only because we are traveling fast when we are outside of the city, but also because those drivers could invade the carriageway at some point. For example, when they are putting the emergency ahead triangles on the road, or when the tow truck driver is assisting the broken down vehicle. So slowing down for sure and stopping if necessary. Yeah, if there is any risks, if there is any dangers, by all means we stop and then we resume circulation whenever it is safe. Up until now, all clear, everyone?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about those speed limits then. Let's start with automobiles here. We got automobiles outside of the city, and outside of the city there are motorways and dual carriageways. Both of them will share the same speed limits. And then we got automobile roads and conventional roads. And in those two, the speed limit will be the same. Depending on the vehicle that we drive, we got three different groups. Group 1, private cars, motorcycles, motorhomes, maximum 3.5 tons, and pickups. Group 2, buses, derived and mixed adaptable vehicles. And group 3, goods transportation. So in group 3, we got good transportation vehicles. That is a van, a truck, tractive unit, or any automobile while pulling a trailer or a semi-trailer. So let's see. Anyone knows the maximum speed limit for the first group in motorways and dual carriageways?
100 and
60.
100 and
100 and 120.
there you go. Yeah, 120. For the second group, that will be
90.
90 is down here, 100.
Oh.
Yeah, for the second group, it is 100. And then for the third one, goods transportation vehicles, 90. Okay? Automobile roads and conventional roads. First two groups share the same speed limit, which is
90.
yes, indeed. And the third group goes 80. Yeah. Third group goes 80. In case you want to take a screenshot, do it now. Yeah, that is next step. That is the but for example, when a motorway or a dual carriageway runs inside of a city, it still abides by interurban rules. Yeah, that is not a crosstown link, it's just a motorway or a dual carriageway that enters the city. What is the maximum speed limit in that case?
Can you repeat?
In a motorway or a dual carriageway that runs inside of the city, the maximum speed limit will be
45.
50.
60.
80. 80 inside of the city, like M30. If you didn't have any specific signs, the maximum there for all of us is 80. It's not the crosstown link. And the crosstown link is a conventional road that enters the city. This is just the motorway or the dual carriageway that goes into the city, partially or totally, like M30. And during those moments, the maximum speed generic is 80. But bear in mind that we cannot have pedestrians there. Now we cannot park, we cannot stop. U-turns will be done at designated areas. So motorways and dual carriageways always follow interurban rules. The only thing that changes when inside of the city is the speed limit. That will be dropping to 80. And there is one more exception, this time about conventional roads. In a conventional road, there could be more than one carriageway. It's not very common, but it could happen. And in that case, the road owner, aka the city hall, could put up a maximum speed limit sign of 100 kilometers per hour. If you do have the sign, the 100 kilometer limit is only for the ones in the first group. So cars, motorcycles, motorhomes, maximum 3.5 tons, pickups will go 100. Sure, because we got the sign. The rest of them, 90 and 80, regular speed limits. And the other way around, minimum. The minimum speed limit when we are in a motorway or a dual carriageway is 60. Never mind, inside, outside of the city, or whichever vehicle we drive. Minimum 60. But if it's any other road, apart from motorways and dual carriageways, minimum speed will be half the maximum. So if the maximum for your vehicle is 90, your minimum is 45. If the maximum for your vehicle is 80, then your minimum 40. And the minimum generic speed is always based on the generic one. That is, even though you have that sign over here saying 100 in that conventional road, that 100 limit is specific because the road owner determined that 100, but the minimum is still 45. Yeah, because this is not the normal. This is something specific that the road owner decide. The normal is 90, so the minimum is 45 no matter what. Unless you got a specific minimum speed limit sign saying something different. But minimum generic speed is always based on the regular generic maximum speed limit. That is outside of the city. Let's go inside. Inside of the city, we got two types of roads, urban ones and crosstown links. When it comes to an urban road, one option is having no curbs. That is a single platform urban road. This is all leveled up, that it all goes at the same level. We don't have curbs, we don't have different levels when it comes to the carriageway and the pavement, the sidewalk. That is a single platform. So if the question specifies we are in a single platform urban road, maximum speed limit for all of us is 20. Never mind the number of lanes. The single platform, 20 kilometers per hour, all of us. If it doesn't specify it's a single platform, then we need to know how many lanes we've got in our direction. If it's just one, our maximum speed is 30. If it's more than one lane in our direction, maximum speed would be 50. For example, in this case, we do have different levels, right? We have curves over here, there's another one over there, one lane in our direction 30, one lane opposite direction 30, one single lane 30, and we understand we got different levels because otherwise the question needs to specify it. And if it's single platform, this is something that requires specification. Otherwise, we got different levels. Or if the road has more than one lane in our own direction, then we will go 50. For example, in here we got two lanes in our direction. We go 50 with the curve. One single lane in that direction, those ones go 30. If we didn't have curves, if it were all flat, let's say, like leveled, then 20 kilometers per hour for all of them. And the last one inside of the city is a crosstown link, a through road, if you prefer, that conventional road that enters the city. And in that case, it doesn't matter if we got a single platform, if we got one lane, if we have more than one lane in our direction, maximum generic speed, 50. Up until there, are we all okay with the different possibilities for automobiles?
Kind of.
It's a lot of information, I believe.
Hello.
Okay, so let's go again. If it's automobiles, any of them, we follow these ones. So, according to the type of vehicle it is and the road. 120, 190, or then 90 for the first two, and then 80 if it's the other one. Minimum speed, 60, because it's always 60 to enter motorways and dual carriageways, or any other road, half the minimum. In the city, depending, urban roads, we could go 20, 30, or 50. 20 if it's single platform, 30 if it's regular with one single lane, 50 if it's regular with more than one lane. Or if it's a crosstown link, never mind, it's always 50.
Can you show again the difference between the rows, how they look like in 20 and 30? I'm not sure I get the.
Because the difference is this.
This is 20, okay.
Because there is no different levels. You don't have a step between the sidewalk and the carriageway. Yeah, the step is not there. 20. And in that case, the question, we need a specification. So either using the picture like this, or the question has to say single platform. Yeah, otherwise the normal is having that kind of step. Yeah, like here, you got a step here, right?
Okay.
So in there, 30 if it's one lane, 50 if it's more than one.
But on left the picture, there's no step.
In which picture? The one on the left?
Yes.
But if it doesn't specify any is there, because normally the sidewalk and the carriageway, they should be at a different level. So if we're not specified anything different, but it is true that we don't see it here, it's 30.
Okay.
And if it's more than one lane, then it's 50. Or if it's a crosstown link, it's 50. Yeah, the whole time, automobiles, maximum speed in a crosstown link, 50. There are other vehicles to consider. Mopeds, low mobility people vehicles by construction, what's the maximum speed? Do you remember?
I don't know.
45.
Mopeds?
Okay, so if it's 45, are they allowed in motorways?
No.
Are they allowed in dual carriageways?
No.
Are they allowed in automobile roads? Are mopeds considered as automobiles?
No.
No. So in those three, no speed limit because they are not allowed. In conventional roads, how fast do you think the poor moped will go in a conventional road? The speed that they reach. Yeah, so
45.
45. Yeah, poor thing. Yeah, it goes maximum 45, so the poor thing goes 45 in conventional roads because even though we wanted to, it wouldn't go any faster. And in the city, the most restrictive one. So say that you have a moped, but you're driving it in an urban road with a single platform. If everybody else goes 20, what do you think that will be our maximum speed limit with the moped? 45 or 20?
20.
Agreed. Yeah, everybody 20, mopeds included. This one, 30 or 45?
30.
30 again. And in those two, how fast will you go?
45.
45. Even though you accelerate as much as you can, it's 45. Yeah, what we are reaching. So that's it. Okay. And now, special vehicles. If we have not specified anything different, special vehicles will reach maximum 40 kilometers per hour. That is the normal. So if we have not specified anything, could special vehicles enter in a motorway?
No.
No. And dual carriageways?
No.
And automobile roads?
No.
Conventional roads, yes, and they will go maximum?
40.
Indeed. Say that we got our special vehicle in an urban road, single platform. How fast will it go? Do you remember?
20.
20, indeed. One lane in our direction, regular urban road.
30.
30.
Perfect. And if it's more than one lane in our direction?
50.
40.
40, indeed, yeah, because the vehicle itself cannot go any faster than 40. And what about if it's a crosstown link?
40.
40, absolutely. The question is more specific. Instead of special vehicle just like that, they tell you, hey, driving a cultivator, or you are driving a special vehicle while pulling a trailer, or the special vehicle that you are driving is not fitted with braking lights. Those three move really slowly. I mean, cultivators don't have a seat for the driver. You are walking. You are behind it. That one is pulling a trailer. They need to go slower. And it's not fitted with braking lights. How slowly do you move that you don't need to tell everybody else around you that you're slowing down? 25. Yeah, you're going 25 kilometers per hour, tops. So would you be allowed those in a motorway?
70.
No.
70.
Dual
It is.
carriageway? Oh, no, absolutely not. Automobile road?
No.
Mm-mm. In a conventional road, yes.
Yes.
But how fast will you go?
25.
There you go. And if it's inside of the city in a single platform urban road, how fast will you go?
20.
20. And in any other road there, one lane, exactly. 25 in the rest of them because that is the maximum for that vehicle. Let's go the other way around. The question now specifies that we are driving a special vehicle that by construction at least reaches 60 kilometers per hour or more than 60. In that case, when outside of the city, that special vehicle is limited to 70 kilometers per hour. So now, is that special vehicle allowed in a motorway?
No.
Yeah, it reaches 60, right? It can go 60 or faster than 60. So now it's allowed in a motorway. Yeah, the problem earlier was not reaching the minimum speed necessary, but this one do. So go ahead, maximum 70 in the hard shoulder. If it's maximum 3.5 tons, in the right-hand lane of that motorway, if it exceeds 3,500 kgs.
So only in the hard shoulder.
Depending on the weight. If it's 3.5 tons or below, hard shoulder. If it's above 3.5 tons, right-hand lane. Yeah, the same will apply in a conventional road. These ones are allowed in a conventional road as well. They will go in the hard shoulder if it's sufficient. When maximum 3.5 tons, over 3.5 tons, then they will go in the right lane. They will go in the carriageway because the hard shoulder is like the edge of the road, really, and it doesn't support as much weight as the carriageway itself. So when we talk about vehicles over 3,500 kgs, they could remain stationary, occupying the shoulder. That would be okay if they have to, in case of an emergency. But they cannot go traveling, occupying the hard shoulder because it will break it apart. Yeah, the hard shoulder doesn't support that much weight. So that's why when the special vehicle is maximum 3.5, moves in the shoulder, but if it's over 3.5, then moves in the regular carriageway. Everyone, makes sense up until now?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question. Can you go back to the slide that had all of the speeds for the different vehicles? So
This one.
yeah. So on the right, like next to Autovia, you have the automobile road.
Yep.
The one to the right of that is a dual carriageway.
No, the one that is here is a
Yeah.
conventional road.
National road.
Dual carriageway is the autovia.
Right. That's why I was confused, but yes.
Okay, so now, extras. Imagine that we are driving that car over there. We are escorting the cyclists. How fast will you drive? The minimum speed of the road for your vehicle, so in this case, 45 kilometers per hour, or would you drive at the same speed as the cyclists, more or less? You need to escort them, you need to stay behind them. So would you adapt your speed to the speed of the cyclist, or would you drive 45 no
Yeah.
matter what?
Adjust.
Adjust, yeah? So if the cyclists are tired, say that they are tired, they're moving 20, we move 20 because we need to escort them. The same applies if we're escorting a special transportation. So look at that. It's occupying the whole carriageway. So if we are escorting them, we need to adjust again to the speed of that special transportation. Normally 40 kilometers per hour, but you don't need to know that specific point. Just knowing we need to adapt to the speed of the vehicle that we are escorting. Rest of the automobiles, 3.5 tons, so the ones that we drive. Say that we are traveling below the minimum speed of the road because of safety. Say that there is a traffic jam. Say that it's pouring down. Say that it's foggy. Is that justified that we drive 50 kilometers per hour if there is an awful congestion in a motorway?
Yes.
Absolutely. is it justified to drive below the minimum speed of the road if we are tired?
No.
Agreed. And what about if there is a breakdown? If the breakdown allows us to continue traveling safely, we would do so either in the right lane if we are not obstructing circulation, there's no one behind us, or occupying the hard shoulder on the right if we are obstructing. But in both case scenarios, we need to take the first exit off in motorways and dual carriageways. So it's not like we could reach our destination traveling below the minimum speed of the road, because it's something that affects only us, only our vehicle. Sooner or later, we're going to be obstructing, or worse, we could get involved in a rear end collision. So hazard lights on, absolutely. In the right lane, if we are alone, in the right shoulder, if we are obstructing, and then taking the first exit off. If it is not safe to continue traveling, then don't try to approach as much as possible to the right shoulder, anywhere whatsoever if there's no other choice, because it could be an accident and it could be quite a serious accident. Hazard lights on, that would be great if the driver is conscious, hazard lights on, and if it's nighttime, position lights on together with the hazards. But if it's an accident and the driver is not conscious, then well, it will be someone else when assisting the one doing so. Lastly, we're almost there for today. Safety distance, the one that we need to keep from the vehicle ahead of us. Subjective, whatever you consider safe according to the speed, according to the vehicle that you are driving. Or if you're specified 2 seconds between us and the vehicle ahead, we need 2 seconds. So we have enough space and time to stop preventing that collision. But if you're specified, we are driving a vehicle over 3.5 tons, we are driving a group of vehicles, so we are pulling something, trailer, semi-trailer, and the group is longer than 10 meters, minimum safety distance 50 meters this time, because those heavy vehicles require more distance to stop. Yeah, they accumulate more kinetic energy. This is in roads, apart from tunnels. If we enter a tunnel or an underpass, what matters is the maximum authorized mass of the vehicle or group of vehicles that we are driving. If it's 3,500 kgs or below, we need 4 seconds, or if you prefer, 100-meter distance. If it's over 3 tons, we need 6 seconds or 150 meters. So turns out we are driving a motorcycle in an urban road. What is the minimum safety distance?
Urban road, 4 seconds.
Indeed. In the same motorcycle in a tunnel, minimum safety distance would be
4 seconds.
4 seconds.
or
100 meters.
100 meters. Yep. We are driving a van that is 3,600 kilograms in a motorway. Minimum safety distance, please.
50 meters.
50 meters.
Yes, indeed. And if you are driving the same van via underpass,
6 seconds.
150 or 6 seconds.
great. And now the exception, of course. If there is a group of cyclists, they count as one single unit. So no need for any safety distance whatsoever. Frontally, laterally, no need. They could be traveling as close as they consider from one another, because the whole group counts as one single unit. And the last thing, the very last thing for today, will be differentiating between stopping, reaction, and braking distances. So I tell you the definition, and you tell me which one it is, yeah? Stopping, reaction, or braking distance. Definition number 1. From the moment a driver sees a danger, it could be a red light as well, until pressing down the brake. What's that?
Reaction.
Reaction distance, indeed. Reaction. Yeah, from the moment we see until we do something about it, until we react to it, reaction. We press down the brake until the car stops completely. Which one is that?
That's the braking distance.
Yeah, we are effectively braking, we are using the brake pedal, so braking distance it is. And all of it together, from the moment the driver sees the danger until the car stops completely, then it will be stopping. Yeah. So stopping, we could say that is both reaction plus braking distance together. So from the moment we see the danger until the car stops completely. Reaction is the first portion until normally we step on the brake, that is the most common reaction, and then braking from the moment that brake pedal is applied until the car stops. What is the average reaction time of a driver? Do you know
75.
how long between seeing the danger until we do something about it?
1 second. 2, 3 seconds.
Approximately, yeah, approximately 1 second. 0.75, so 0.75 to 1 second. Yeah. Imagine that we are tired. Will the reaction time increase, decrease, or stay the same?
Increase.
Definitely, yeah, will be longer, it will increase. What if we are not feeling well? Colds, allergies, any illness?
Increase.
Increase again. What about speed? Will speed affect our reaction time? So we are driving, we see the red light until we press down the brake. Does it really matter whether we are traveling 10 or 100 kilometers per hour? Does it make any difference if we are traveling faster when it comes to the reaction time?
It shortened the braking distance.
The braking distance will be longer and the reaction distance as well, but the reaction time
The same.
will not change. Yeah, will be the same because it's inner to the driver. It doesn't matter how fast the vehicle moves from the moment we already saw that red light until we step on the brake. It will be the same second. Let's round up. But during that second, the faster we move, the more distance the vehicle is going to be traveling. All right. So what about the braking distance? If the road is slippery, if with tires are in a poor condition, if the shock absorbers are faulty, distance
Increases.
definitely, yeah, definitely increases. Okay, so officially done with today's topics. Yeah, and actually 12 minutes, I told you 15 minutes, but well, 12 is not that bad. So any question, any doubt that you would like to ask?
Yes, I have a question. Because I see like I have a summary of this chapter. There's shown like tunnels and underpass. It's for vehicles up to 3.5 ton.
Mhm.
It's 4 seconds and 100 meters or 100 meters.
Or 100, or either or, 4 seconds or 100 meters.
Yeah, but does it mean that I need to keep distance 100 meters until the other outlet? Or
Until you get out of the tunnel, between you and the vehicle ahead of you, while you are past the tunnel sign, even though you are not yet inside of the tunnel, the moment you go past the tunnel sign, you need a 4-second gap between you and whoever is in front of you, and keeping that gap until you go past the end of the tunnel sign. 4 seconds, 100 meters, whichever one you prefer. But either or, they need to be kept while we are within the tunnel rules application stretch. So, information sign of the beginning until the information sign of the end of that tunnel.
then, yeah, how to measure those seconds?
Well, the seconds is easier if you ask me, because if there is something fixed on the road, say vertical sign, you see the vehicle passing by in front of you and start counting, literally, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, up until 4. If at 4 seconds you are parallel, you got 4 seconds. If at 4 Mississippis you have not reached the sign yet, even better, you got more distance. If at 4 seconds you have already passed that marking, you're too close.
Okay.
Another way to measure the distance is that sometimes you got chevrons painted on the road surface, like white markings that look like a V. Yeah, you know the ones I mean?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, fine. So they are white color. I would put it pink because the whole thing is white, but they look like this. Yeah, you got one here and then another one there. Okay, 2 seconds will be 2 of those markings. 4 seconds, 4 of those markings. And the last way of measuring distance with the marker posts. On the side of the road, you would see these posts with a yellow rectangle on the right or two white dots on the left. Between the first one and the following one on the same side of the road, you got 50 meters.
Okay.
But if you ask me, the easiest way, especially when we are driving, we're in movement, is estimating the seconds or with the gallons with the
Why is it-
seconds.
Why is it longer in tunnels?
To avoid any kind of accidents, any kind of collisions, because when they happen inside of the tunnel, they get easily obstructed. There could be a fire, and inside of the tunnel, even though it's ventilated, it's not that easy for the emergency services to work.
Okay.
Any other questions or doubts? Everyone, could be about today's topics, could be about anything in general. Okay, you're too tired for questions, maybe. Anyway, the email address where you received the link to join, yeah, the driving license at autoescuelagala.com is my email address. So if there is any question or any doubt that comes up, either today, tomorrow, whenever, or while you're, feel free to drop me an email. If it's about a test question, please with a screenshot, yeah, so we can determine exactly why the question is right or wrong, okay? But feel free.
I have a question. What is recommended now that we have this exam test in English? I don't know if everyone else has it, but should I be doing a test after this class to test myself? And if I have any questions, I ask you?
But the topics that we've seen, so on the website you will see thematic tests, right, when you enter. So about the chapters we have completed today, chapters 1, 2, 7, 9, and 10. And if there is any question about those, since tomorrow we will do the same as today, we will finish like 10, 15 minutes before 2 p.m. We can just talk about those questions, or if you prefer, you can drop them in an email and send it to me.
Cool.
Yeah. Any other questions, doubts, everyone? Anything? So in that case, thank you so much for joining today and staying up until the end of the lesson. I know that is long, but by Thursday it gets better. Tomorrow we will discuss about signaling. Still, we will talk about a lot of science. The day after, we will talk about signaling, maneuvers, priorities. So it's still about prohibitions and such. But then Thursday and Friday will be a little bit easier. It's the first 3 days, they're a little bit more complicated, maybe. But anyway, thank you so much. Have a great evening ahead and see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
You too, and thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, bye. Thanks, Marga.
Time.
Hello, Marga.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I lost the book that included all the questions that we can have a test. So, do you have like electronic one, or how can I buy another one?
But you know, in the test book, you only have a few questions, not that many. Go online to practice to the website, to gala.elportaldelalumno.com. You got the same questions as in the booklet, plus many more.
The website is from Gala Escuela, or
It's this website. It's let me write that down in the chat. It's Gala. elportaldelalumno.com. That's the one. And when you get there, you should have given a username and a password to practice online. If you don't have it, or if you don't find it, anyway. Check.
yes, I'm inside, but it's like which is I have to do the NOAA test or tutorials, the exam, or which part I have to.
Depending. Let me join the account and I'll show you there. If no, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, when you get here, NOVA test, and then when you click there, you got several options. On top, you got random exams. So each exam is created at the spot. Just signaling, safety, That is maneuver, so anything related to legislation, motorbike, and all of the topics combined.
Yeah.
This one, chapter by chapter. So depending if you want to go through a specific chapter, then and it will be chapter 1, chapter 2, and so on. Exam questions, but all combined. So it's like the random one, but you always have the same 30 questions in each one of them. More tests. The advanced driver assistance systems tests, and the ones for neuroscience.
No, this line is different from mine. Mine is thematic test, exam collection, and more tests. Only these three.
Okay, so like now.
Yeah, it's this one.
So these ones, chapter by chapter, these two are fixed exam questions. So each one of the tests here will show you the same 30 questions. Yeah, so every time you click on this one, you get the same 30 questions. If you get into this one, then every time that you click on it, it creates a new exam for you. So out of the whole data bank, it creates a new exam every time you enter.
Okay, but the data bank that you have is same as the real exam.
Very similar. Yeah, the real exam ones, no one has access to them. Yeah, the traffic authorities are very secretive with that, but very similar. Yeah, very, very similar. And some of them are actually the same one, like literally.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Anytime. Great evening ahead.
Ciao.
Bye.
Oo na. Si Pasaki. Mama. Ano dito? Oo na.
Hindi kasi makatulog si Raro to pag di ko nabayaran yan eh.
Ilang taon nun?
Kapal mo.
Baka nasa hospital.
So, kali mo binigay?
Sa baba.
Kanina, kanina. Sa...
Oo.
Pero in-inform mo na si Rado?
Oo.
Ah, kasi may message ko na rin siya.
Minessage ko na naibigay na.
Ibe-message ko na ngayon?
I-message mo.
Naibigay na ng prima ko, sabihin ko.
Oo.
Okay.